Hey everybody, Scott. As you know, earlier this month, I know I missed it by a while, but it was Suicide Prevention Week. And as you know, I posted a song on my Facebook story, Bullied by Shinedown. And how I said I was bullied relentlessly in school. It's true. And I'm going to tell my bullying story now. This is a really hard video for me to make because it's a very uncomfortable topic for me. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart. If you get uncomfortable easily, I would click off of this video now, but technically I was bullied. I've been bullied since kindergarten. Those who don't know, I was held back in kindergarten, and I was bullied both years. One time I was even pushed off the top of the slide. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst was when we moved to Bella Vista Elementary for the second half of my first grade year. I made a mistake by sitting in the back of the bus. Because what happened was, in the buses at the time, they did change this when I was in third grade, but at the time they had the special needs kids at the front of the bus, and then they had the regular kids toward the back half of the bus, and the sixth graders would normally sit in the back, the very back of the bus. I didn't know that. So me being the shy, nervous kid that I was, I sat in the back of the bus to try to avoid attention. Then this sixth grader sat next to me, and he said, "Hey kid." I tried to ignore him at first, but after a minute I looked at him like, "What?" And he's like, "You want to make out?" And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, you want to make out, don't you, little kid?" And he's like started licking his lips, and he was making me super uncomfortable. He was like rubbing my leg and stuff like that. Then we got off the bus and went to class, and I didn't say anything. Because I didn't want to talk about it. He also harassed me a little bit on the way back, not as much. And that was that day. He harassed me a couple days after that as well. And then eventually I had enough of it. I went and I told the teacher. The teacher, I wouldn't say laughed at me, but they were making fun of me. They're like, "You're a boy, you should have been able to deal with it. Go out to recess, leave me alone." At first I was confused. I didn't understand. I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. She didn't say anything else. So I went out to recess, and that was the end of that. But after a while, some of the other students started to catch on to what was happening. And instead of helping me out, they started making fun of me. Like, "Oh, you like kissing boys," and stuff like that. Because let me tell you this. You think this place is homophobic. You have no idea. Utah, or at least Bella Vista anyways, was really bad. But yeah, they were making fun of me. They were calling me, the F, not the, FUC word, the other F word. They were calling me the Q word and stuff like that. And eventually it got so bad where they were like beating me up, like physically injuring me. And they were chasing me around the playground, pushing me on the ground, kicking me, punching me, and despite all my efforts to tell teachers, nothing happened. After about a year and a half of telling teachers, I stopped. I gave up because nothing was happening. In fact, it was getting worse. So I gave up. I see my mom. She doesn't see me. But I know this whole time I didn't tell my mom and my dad. I didn't feel comfortable telling my parents these things. So I started getting in trouble at school for just defending myself. Like, I remember one time I hit back. I pushed the kid down, and despite the fact that they were chasing me around the playground, harassing me, I was the one who got in trouble for it. My mom got an email saying that I was being a trouble child, and because of that, I was put on what was called tracker cards. So you have 3 for if you're well behaved, 2 for an okay day, 1 is if you were somewhat misbehaving, and 0 is if you were being a nuisance, I guess. And I remember getting 0s pretty much all the time for just trying to stick up for myself. And 2nd grade was really bad too, because I ended up getting a class with one of these kids, and they would, they would be sitting next to me or across the classroom. They'd throw paper balls at me and all that. I remember one time we were doing a Christmas thing. We'd go different classrooms and they put on a presentation for how different cultures celebrate the holidays. And I was in one, I think it was Hanukkah, right? We were in a classroom learning about Hanukkah. And there was a kid sitting next to me who was bothering me. He was whispering stuff in my ear. And I said, "Miss, this kid is bothering me." And they said, "You need to be quiet and watch the presentation." I'm like, but, and they're like, "You know what? Follow this recess aide is going to take you back." There was a recess aide in the class, and they said, "Take him back to his class." The recess aide asked what class I was in. I said, "Miss Stevens." They took me back to the portable, my class, and Miss Stevens said, "Okay, sit in the back of the classroom, and I'll be talking to you after class." Class ended. I went and sat at Miss Stevens' desk, and she said, "Well, since you misbehaved in the presentation, I'm going to be giving you 0s on your tracker card. I'm going to be sending an email home, and you will not be going on the field trip this month." And I know I didn't say what the field trip was. The field trip was we were going to the high school, and we were going to be having hot cocoa and celebrating the holidays with friends, right? It was like, you're not going because you misbehaved in the presentation. Instead, you're going to be sitting in, I guess, the detention class with the other troubled kids. And at that same time, I was put in IEP and given a counselor because I was a troubled child and I was slow and I guess they thought I was stupid or something. So they put me in IEP, they gave me a counselor, and I wasn't allowed to go on the field trip, that Christmas field trip. And no shit, I was sitting in a room full of troubled child. So yeah, there was a lot of misbehaving, a lot of mean things said, not just to me, but to each other and all that. I tried to keep quiet, but, sometimes you have to defend yourself. I know too, this wasn't just at school. Some of these kids lived in the same apartments as me, so they would be at my bus stop, and they would follow me home and beat me up on the way home. So I started wearing long sleeve shirts because I'd get bruises on my arm. And I didn't want the schools or I didn't want my parents to know, and 2, I didn't want the schools thinking my parents were beating me, because I didn't want the CPS come take my parents away. Because honestly, if they did, I probably would have killed myself, because I would have blamed myself because of my poor communication skills, I guess. Despite the fact that I told teachers, staff, I told the principal and everything, they didn't listen to me. And I didn't want to tell my parents, so my parents wouldn't even understand what they did wrong. As far as they know, they were being arrested for something they didn't do. They wouldn't know why, and it would have been my fault. And the more I think about it, yeah, I probably would have killed myself. With just how I was already suicidal. You can imagine if the CPS came and took my parents away, that would have made it so much worse. But they'd beat me up on the way home, they'd beat me up at school, no matter how many times I told the teachers. And I'll tell you this right now, the teachers at Bella Vista, I don't know if it's different now, but at the time, they did not care. They didn't care about anybody. And this was about 3rd grade, I noticed that there were little girls sitting in the classrooms. I'm like, I asked one of the staff, why are there little girls sitting in classrooms? Oh, that's so they're safe from the kids outside, and so they're not harassed. I'm like, oh my god, I might have some salvation. So I went and asked the teacher that was letting the kids sit in the room, the little girls sit in the room. I said, "Miss, I've been harassed outside every day since I came here." And she's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you sit in here. This is a girls only club. You have to go outside to recess. I mean, I can't really get mad at her for that, because she had a valid point. I could have been just one of the boys coming in wanting to harass the girls. So I can't really blame her for that. But, you know, I went out to recess, and sure enough, they were there waiting for me. Some of them would even there was one time they went so far they doggy piled me, and there was one kid who was licking the side of my face. I kid you not. He was licking the side of my face, my ear,